Welcome. So after this rich morning that we had behind us, exchanging about the institutional framework, the political willingness, let's give the floor to the people from the field. I just wanted to add something at the beginning of this afternoon. We decided to speak in English. We know that most of you are French speaker and not English speaker. Of course, you have at your disposal the headphones to listen to us in French. But for us, it was something important to speak in English because we really support the fact that to speak a foreign language, namely English, is something very important in order to push and improve the long-term mobility of apprentices. And now, Europe Mobility has 1 year. It's almost our birthday today. You know us a little bit, and you know the fact that we really like to join our movement. And the way of joining our movement today, it will be to be able to answer to the question that we will ask by Slido, which is a platform, very easy to use. In your tote bag this morning, you received a little piece of paper like that. You have a QR code to scan. I guess most of you have the app, otherwise the iPhone don't need any app. And if you have any problem to connect, you just go on slido.com and you insert the code hashtag 16 17 21. If there is any problem, you can ask to us and we will be able to help you. So we start the afternoon with the first topic, which is about the internationalization of training center. And I'm happy to leave the floor to my colleague, Stéphanie.
Hello, a very warm welcome from my side as well. I'm Stephanie Butzmanik from the Robert Schuman Foundation. We're a partner organization of this wonderful event. And so enough about me. Right away going to introduce our excellent panel that we have here today. We have Lionel Clémençon here from the Erasmus Plus France agency. We have Paolo Nardi, who came from Italy. He is at the Cometa Vet Center. And we have Pascal Labrousse from the French Ministry of Agriculture and Food. So thanks a lot for being here with us today. And now we're going to start
to warm up a bit.
Exactly.
And so we will launch the first question with Slido. Which are the key words that come to your mind when you think about internationalization of training centers? Which are the key words? Something should appear there, normally. Which are the first words that come to your minds when you talk about internationalization? First word, like this. One of you. Soft skills. Interesting, with internationalization. Okay, something else?
Multilingualism.
Multilingualism. Very interesting too. Accreditation, of course.
Partners.
Partners, of course.
Mutual recognition.
Yeah. Yes. That's true. So.
Okay, so thanks for these words. I think that shows quite well, or gives a first impression of what internationalization is all about. It's about partners. It's about accrediting the skills that we have, the soft skills that we have. So I think that gives us a first starting point from where we can go on to our presentations from our panelists. So maybe Lionel Clemenceau, you want to start with your presentation.
I will react on the keywords accreditation because it's clearly linked to the new Erasmus Plus program. Accreditation is Erasmus Plus possibility to project for a vet provider to project on the long term. So for sure, it's the way a vet provider or apprenticeship training center can enter in the Erasmus Plus program in the long term by asking for accreditation at his national agency, and with this accreditation, he can set up and finance on the long-term mobility project. So, for me, these keywords is important to react. And for sure, partners is also a keyword that make me react, because partners is the starting point for you apprenticeship training center, for you vet providers to start building a project. And it's important that you have internal resources such as a mobility coach, référent mobilité, and we talked about this key resources this morning, and thanks to the evolution of the French legal framework in VET, you have now, apprenticeship training provider, the possibility to invest on these key resources to set up, to build, to manage, and to promote your mobility project. And I just wanted to present you the initiative we launched Erasmus Plus French Agency with a group of stakeholders, mainly working in the automotive domain, ANFA, construction domain, 3CA BTP, Chambre des métiers, Chambre de commerce et de l'industrie, Compagnons du devoir on MFR. So we, Erasmus Plus French Agency, we gather all these stakeholders involved in apprenticeship mobility to work on a training course. We've been designing a training program specifically for mobility coach. And this training program starts with defining the course, tasks, and skills necessary for a mobility coach. So we started 3 years ago, and it has been a long time and a tough work. And we managed to complete the work during the pandemic. So we are very happy to have the deliverable ready on time. So we started defining the core task and skills framework. The framework is has led to a leaflet who is available on the Erasmus Plus Agency website. And then during year 2019 and 2020, we defined together the training objective, program design, assessment standards, and we managed to build the training course contents. So now this training course is ready to be used, to be launched by the different apprenticeship networks who finance the development of the modules. As you can see, it's a blended and modular training courses, so you can use it depending on the skills of the mobility coaches. This is ready to use and free to use, so for sure the stakeholders I've mentioned, ANFA, 3CA, CMA, and so on, are willing to share these training courses. They are about to implement it. So it's important to have some feedback to see how it works. But then, for other training providers of the apprenticeship training center, you can have a possibility possibility, by contacting this group of apprenticeship stakeholders, to use and to implement the modules within your training center for the benefit of your mobility coaches. And as you see also on the slide, we have a holistic approach of the skills that the mobility coaches have to master: organization, management, legal framework. We talk about that because it starts with mastering a foreign language. So there is also a module specifically targeted on communication, how to promote a mobility project using English keywords and to talk with European partners. So foreign language is important for mobility coaches. And what is also important is the module on project consistency and pedagogical pathway, because we strongly believe that the mobility should be integrated within the apprentice curricula. So for the mobility coach, it means think about how it could be well integrated, think about what activities, pedagogical activities, the apprentice will run during the stay in Europe. So it's important. It's not only demanding Erasmus Plus fund, not only demanding the asking for accreditation. It's also to build a totally integrated mobility program within the curricula. And for sure, promotion and communication. This is important for a training center to promote the results, the impacts on the Erasmus Plus mobility project. So you see, it's a very huge and comprehensive training courses that can be implemented in a very modular and flexible manner.
Thank you very much, Lionel Clemençon, for this first presentation. Now we go on to Paolo Nardi and his presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present. I don't know if I will have the support of my presentation. Thank you. I can start. My name is Paolo Nardi. I'm in charge of international affairs for the Cometa Vocational Training Center based in Como, and I'm also coordinator of the UNESCO UNEVOC Italian focal point. Actually, my main work is, as I was mentioning, responsible for internationalization of our vocational training center, Cometa, which is a vocational training center which is mainly focused on kids with vulnerability. And I think that when it comes to vulnerability, also mobility is a very, very interesting dimension that we should think about, how to adapt, how to include them also in this kind of mobility. Now, for them, for our kids with disadvantage, we have developed in the past 15 years a specific model called inclusive excellence, the opportunity for everybody to get an excellent training, including everybody, notwithstanding your disadvantage. Now, how is it possible to consolidate this model and also to share this model at international level? This is the question, and this is the origin of our project awarded by the European Commission as one of the 7 Center of Vocational Excellence projects. It's the project GIVE, Governance for Inclusive Vocational Excellence. And basically the idea is to identify those practices which make vocational education and training excellent and inclusive, but not only at didactic level, but also at management level and governance level. We need to cooperate not just as teachers, but as a school community, but even more, the vocational training ecosystem. This is the reason why at the core of our project we have 4 vocational training centers, 4 companies, 2 universities, and 3 policy-making organizations. It's in this cooperation that we will be able, hopefully, to develop those practices, to transform those practices into training modules, which will be shared through platforms in the consortium, but also at European level, and hopefully at international level, to make this inclusive excellence approach something, let's say, a common good, not only for our community, but for all the kids with vulnerability that we work with.
Thank you very much, Paolo. Let's right away go on to Madame Pascale Labrousse.
I didn't switch the button. I do it again. Okay, good afternoon. I'm Pascale Labrousse, and I am Poland and the Baltic States Network Coordinator for the French Agricultural Education Department. We have a lot of networks in a French Agricultural Education Department, and my network aims at strengthening partnerships with Poland and the Baltic states and identifying new opportunities. We promote technical and higher short education in Poland and the Baltic states. We identify and we support targeted mobility sectors, and the mobility of the apprentices is a priority. We support the quantitative and qualitative increase of outgoing mobility through highly reciprocal partnerships. We develop actions to promote Europe and European programs through the organization of the Paris Agricultural Fair, various competitions and events highlighting the European dimension of agriculture.
So, thank you very much for the three of you. As you see, why we did choose these panelists, because in our point of view, there are 3 good examples of people that work to internationalize training center in general. Lionel from the point of view of the Erasmus Plus agency, Paolo with this VET Excellent Center, which is a new project wanted by the European Commission, which is a very important project, and Pascale, of course, with her work, both as mobility coach, because she is a mobility coach, but also with this work of networking. So this is what was our point of view, in a way, of 3 factors that help internationalization of a training sector. But we would like to ask you what you think, and I would like to see if it worked right now. Which are the tools or practices that your organization uses more frequently to trigger internationalization? Cooperation among organizations and institutions, such as Erasmus K2 projects, contact seminars or international networking meetings, specific tools such as e-twinning, hosting on a regular basis learner or trainers from foreign country, and in general, social network. So around 70% of people think that the best way to trigger internationalization is to cooperate among organizations and institutions through Erasmus Plus, K2, contact seminars, 39%, hosting on a regular basis, social network, specific tools, e-twinning, 10%. Okay, so we have your point of view. Stephanie, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you for your answers. I think that's pretty clear, even though all of those, of course, are very important. But the cooperation among organizations and institutions such as Erasmus Plus, projects are those that you find the most important? Maybe the floor wants to react to this choice.
Okay, so the key action 2, that is cooperation among organizations and institution supports. I've got a few words before. We are citizens, we need equality, rights and values. And there are different partnerships. We've got partnership for cooperation, including cooperation partnerships and small-scale partnerships. We've got partnership for excellence, including centers for vocational excellence. We need partnerships for innovation, including alliances and forward-looking projects. We need to be able to build projects in the field of youth and non-for-profit European sports events. What are partnerships for collaboration? It's an organization to gain experience in international cooperation and partnership. For cooperation can be of different size and scope. Adapt their activity accordingly. The qualitative assessment of these projects will be proportional to the objectives of the cooperation and the nature of the organization involved. There are 2 types of partnerships. Work, learn, and grow together. The cooperation partnerships, and then the small-scale partnerships. The best contribution and the best combination that contributes to reaching the project's objective in relation to its scope and in proportion to the capacities of the partnership as, for example, project management, implement activities, sharing and promotion activities, contribution of the action to achieving policy priorities. A few examples: reciprocal partnership with school, university, companies, board of trade, companies unions, and lots more, of course.
Thank you for your reaction. Do you want to go ahead, Monsieur Clemenceau or Paolo Nardi, as you want, as you wish?
Maybe just a reaction of thank you, Pascal, for explaining all the different types of and the wide range of partnerships, cooperation partnerships embedded in the Key Action 2 program. Just wanted to raise your attention on the small scales. Small scales is a specific Erasmus Plus action that enables the mutuals partnership. You only have to have one partner, whereas Erasmus Plus cooperation partnerships needs 2 partners to begin. The small scales, only one is necessary, and as Laurence Flaring put it this morning, it's important to build a trans-border opportunity, maybe to build this small-scale partnership. It's an action specifically designed and proposed to organizations that are new to Erasmus and to build your ability to cooperate on an international level. So if there are vet training center and apprenticeship training center today that wants to jump into Erasmus program, you can use this action, small-scale partnerships, because it's easy to build. The application is easy to fulfill, and you only need to find one partner to start. And you can build on this small-scale partnership. So it's a way to enter the program.
Go ahead, Paolo.
Yeah, I go on. Actually, I have to say that the results of this survey actually mirror perfectly our experience as a vocational training center. But just a quick reaction, because I would also like to add my word to the first slide, though, because I agree with all your comments, but I typed professional development and capacity building. I think this is very important because these results, as I said, reflects our experience. But I think when it comes to how everything begins, when I started 6 years ago in the Cometa Vocational Training Center, I think that the international networking dimension was very, very relevant. Not only meetings, but in particular the practice of international associations. For instance, we are part of a European association, FVET, the European Forum for Vocational Education and Training. It's a great opportunity. It's not advertising, of course, but it's just sharing experience. It's a great opportunity because in these kind of associations, there are several associations in Europe, for instance. You have the opportunity, also during meetings, to know other organizations, to know other people doing your same job, and also to meet policymakers. And it's in these meetings, in these associations, that you have the opportunity also to start inviting someone, and then it comes to hosting, for instance. And in this work, at least this is our experience, when you start hosting, when you start networking and knowing someone else's experience, it's an opportunity to share your knowledge, to share knowledge in general, their knowledge, your knowledge, and it's the beginning, the trigger for developing new knowledge. And for the staff of the Vocational Training Center, for the learners as well, it's an opportunity of capacity building. So networking, knowledge development, let's say, brings to innovation. Innovation in your activity, in your approaches, and innovation, as it was, for instance, in the case of the GIVE project that I was mentioning earlier, innovation is the starting point for new networking. And then the cycle begins again. So this is the reason why, if I could add this dimension to the wonderful and interesting debate of this morning, I think that this dimension, that mobility and internationalization brings really professional development, capacity building, and innovation. This is my main message. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for these very interesting accounts. I think it's interesting because you work, you're actors, you're involved in on the ground, and I think there are probably lots of questions out there. Maybe you have questions. I think we still have a little bit of time.
Yeah, we have a little time of question, but if we maybe could show to the little video of Lene, our colleague from Denmark, which will talk about her experience of internationalization. It's a 2-minute video.
Let's do that first, yeah.
We can see this video and then take some question, if you agree.
Perfect, yeah.
Okay?
Let's do that.
The video can go.
Hello everybody, my name is Lene Sandholt. We offer a lot of programs here at EUC Syd, so we do everything from carpenters to hairdressers to dental assistants, IT supporters. All our students, they are apprentices, so they are engaged in companies most of the time and they come back to us for blocks of school training. We think it is of great importance that all our students, they get exposed to international activities during their education. It's important to become a better school, and it's also important for them for their future career and their education here. We have a large variety of Erasmus Plus programs to send out our students. We also welcome international students to a very high extent here at EUC Syd. And also by this way, our students can get exposed to other international students. We find that it is important that also our teachers are interested in international cooperation. They take part in international projects. For our management, for example, they join the TA3 cooperation, which is a network of European vocational training centers together with vocational training centers in the US. So they have their forum for developing discussions and cooperation on an international level. At EUSSU we have an international department, and all our activities are covered in what we call International Academy. And our main goal is that international cooperation, international network and international partnership is embedded in EUSSU as a natural part of what we do, so that it's not something special to have international work, but it is how we do it. EUSSU is happy to have joined the Europe App Mobility, and we do that because we constantly seek to raise the quality of our mobilities through networks and through close cooperation, through sharing of knowledge and experiences. We think that this is a good way to raise the qualities of what we do. And for the long-term projects, it has been quite interesting also to host the students for so long time, because they really get the sense of what is it to be placed, to live like, for example, in Denmark.
To our words. So if there is any question from the public, from the audience, because otherwise I have a question for Pascal, maybe. So, does anybody want to say something about what we have seen today in this first hour? Very well.
I also wanted to react and answer regarding in-twinning, because some of you choose e-twinning. E-twinning is an Erasmus Plus tool, very useful to engage distance collaboration with other vet schools. It's not strictly made for general schools, because maybe you've heard about e-twinning for elementary, primary schools, etc., and high schools. No, it's also for you, vet training provider, apprenticeship training center, and it's kind of collaborative network, so you can also find partners on e-training. You can also engage collaboration with other vet providers in Europe. And what is important, e-twinning is also full of resources to build up mobility projects, to get inspiration about activities, thematics, and it will be growing much towards vets, and you will find very useful contents to work on your mobility project. And another information I also wanted to share with you, it's the Erasmus Plus contact seminars. So all of the national Erasmus Plus agency organize this contact seminar specifically created for newcomers to once again to find partners, to know potential European partners. So as regards the French agency, you can go on our website and find the Erasmus Plus contact seminars, get registered and participate to this seminar to once again find your future partners to engage in mobility projects.
From my side, listening to the words of Lene from Denmark, she said that she used to host on a regular basis apprentices from other countries than Denmark. So I want maybe to ask Pascal something about this, because I know you do it on a regular basis too.
Yes, it's important when you host students or learners or apprentices. It's important to work on strong basis because the host company has commitment. The commitment, in my point of view, are professional know-how, encourage skillfulness, defining and corresponding to the learners their training needs. The host company, of course, have to bring assistance, support, supervision and monitoring, and they have to help to the improvement of the future processes. The host company is, I think, is the key of good mobility, because if you choose the best host company for your apprentice, he will be happy, he will learn things, and when he will go back to his country, to his own company, he will share what he learned in his French or Italian or whatever company. So I think that we have to be very committed in the choice of the host company, in my opinion.
So there is a question from the audience, I guess.
Yes, thank you. So Stéphanie Deves from the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research. I just had a question, perhaps for all of you, because you have spoken about networks, and of course Erasmus Plus program is very useful to make mobility stronger in Europe, and also we have a training center. I have a question about the administrative and learning people. So there is the Erasmus Plus placement for staff, which is very useful, I think. I have used that. I have to go in another university in England, for example. It was very useful. It was just a week, but it was very useful. And I would like to have your point of view about this point, because it's the young people want to go in all the world, but sometimes I am not sure that the learner and the administrative people are very aware about this point. And I think that just 1 week or 2 weeks in another country is very useful. Thank you.
Yeah, I just start with a quick reaction. I totally agree with you about mobility for the staff. When I was talking about professional development, I have in mind the staff. Not only in terms of mobility, so key action 1, for instance, in the case of Erasmus, but also strategic partnership, for instance, where you have maybe small period of time abroad, but longer cooperation across months and maybe years. So I totally agree with that. I think it's a great opportunity. What I see, and I think it should be not a barrier, but something to discuss, is that, for instance, in our center, when you send someone abroad who is going to teach the students or tutor the students when the official teacher or tutor is abroad. So I think this is the main obstacle. On the other hand, I think that it's a great opportunity as a leader. If I were a leader in a school or a big manager of the school, I would definitely encourage this opportunity. And by the way, the GIVE project, it's not a paradox, but the GIVE project is focused on kids with vulnerability. But actually, we are going to work mainly with trainers, because they are the important elements of the chain to get to the kids.
Thank you. I think we need to conclude here and now. Sorry. Go on.
Yes, I want to add that in terms of staff people eligible, it goes much further because you also have the apprentice tutor in companies that can benefit from Erasmus Plus mobility. So you have all the staff of the training center, administrative, management staff, our mobility coach, for sure. This is the first person to send abroad for job shadowing. These mobility coaches or other educators and trainers can participate in some courses, can give classes, and you also have people from the company. All people around the apprentice, including people in the company, can participate in Erasmus Plus mobility project.
Thank you. Yeah, one last comment from Madame Labrousse.
Just a real example. I am in charge of the European mobility in Bordeaux, where I am a teacher. And for 15 years now, we having mobility with Germany, very strong one. And my apprentices used to go to Germany for three weeks. And during those 3 weeks, we have with us training masters. So week 1, a technical teacher and a training master.
Company tutors.
Yes, week 2 the same, week 3 same. And we used to send training master who have apprentice in the mobility. And then when we host the Germans, we have the German training master, and we are working on now. Yes, we have been working for 15 years, and we sent around 200 apprentices in Germany, and we had the same from Germany, and that is working. It works. So please try.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was. Thank you very much for this very enriching conversation. I think we can see that actually a lot of things are happening. A lot of structures are already in place. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for you three for your presentations. There is still a lot to be done. It's a process, but I think it was a very positive discussion that we had today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to you. We have been talking a lot during this first hour of partnership. And when we say partnership, we think about twinning. And when we think about twinning, we think about good relation, to build up a good relation in order to exchange apprentices in long-term mobility, but also, as we said before, company tutors and trainers. So this is important. 3 different public that can go on mobility. So when we finished the first Europe project, the first one, at the end of the project, which was a big success, one thing that came out was that it was not so easy for the training center to find new partners. Of course, there were contact seminars, as we said before. We have a strategic partnership too, so there are different manners. But we decided, as a Europe Mobility, to launch a new tool, which is going to be presented in a few seconds by our friend from Leonard. This tool is something that we really wanted in order to help you, to help the training center, to help the young people, and to help the companies to find new partners to put in place long-term mobility in general, but also other kind of project. So I'm happy to leave the floor to our colleague of Leonard that worked with us since the month of May and still support us. So this is very good and very kind from them. So I give the floor to Guillaume and Muriel. Thank you.
We have a presentation that should be featured now on the big screen, but it's a big day for us. We're very, very happy to be here to present the beta version of the tool we imagined for Europe mobility. We have a few slides just to take you through what was the thinking. Just keep in mind that currently it's only a beta version. It's the first intermediary kind of point, and of course there will be evolutions that will come afterwards throughout the time. So we wanted just to first draw a few conclusions about the 4 months of collaborations we had with Europe Mobility. So just very quickly, for you to know who I am, because I'm quite new in this assembly. So we represent the agency named Leonard. It's of course a reference to Leonardo da Vinci. And in fact, we're a creative digital agency specialized in doing websites, apps, advert games, whatever tools you may need for digital. The main challenge that we had to tackle when Europe Mobility asked us to work with them, it was really to create a platform that could allow the different European, what we call VAT, so the vocational, educational, and training actors to meet and exchange on the different mobility projects they could have. We all know we have 3 typologies of actors, and the idea was really to see how we can make them meet together on this particular tool. So the first thing that we wanted to highlight is how to tackle this kind of complexity, because of course there are a lot of information, a lot of different types of typologies of actors. So the idea for us, it was really to give you the current status on the project and to show you how we got there, because the idea for the long time is to really be as collaborative as possible to make sure we propose and we produce the most efficient tool. So 3 key points that we wanted to remember about this tool. First of all, I was talking about collaboration. We worked on this particular tool with a real people-sourced collaboration methodology. We had the chance to meet many people to be able to really collect all the insights and make sure that the tool would answer all the challenges. The second main aspect is that we made a choice that was quite specific about this tool. It was to work on a matching intuitive use instead of using simply search. And you will see later on why we picked this particular side. And the third point is, of course, having a simple and talkative design system. When we talk about design system, is of course talking about the visual environment that we have. The idea was really also to bring something that could correspond to the 3 typologies of actors we're talking to. So first of all, the real people source collaborative methodology. The only thing we wanted to really highlight here is that we have a multiplicity of targets, and we decided to turn this into a strength to be able to collect the maximum amount of information. So the typology that the 3 big categories of actors that we identified are, of course, the VAT providers, the VAT users, and the companies. So we gathered here some people all over Europe that are working in those training centers, providers and learners, and of course also companies. You have a few examples of logos here of people who contributed to the workshops. So first, mobility coaches who are here from training centers. Of course, we had also current and former apprentices, and of course also HR teams and CEOs of companies. And together with Europe Mobility, we spent, in fact, more than 12 hours of workshop to be able to collect all the data that we needed to make sure that really the tool that you would have in hand would be as accurate as possible. We collected a lot of insights, and we tried to execute all those insights in terms of creativity in this specific tool. So this work allows us to define what we call a coherent web space map. That also helped us also working on the user experience we wanted to push and the different typologies also of profiles we wanted to build on this tool. Of course, because the benefits of this collaborative methodology doesn't stop here. What we want to do is, of course, so we had this first step that I was talking to you about, where we thought about user experience, about the conception of the website and the tool. We have a few steps afterward that were really concerning, especially Europe Mobility and ourselves. It was about design and development of the website. It was also about The beta release, that is actually what's happening today. It's the big day for us. Since this morning, you have the possibility to subscribe to the beta version. And of course, what will happen afterwards is that we'll have a testing phase that we will, in which we will integrate all the VET providers to be able also to give us their feedbacks and be able also to collect maybe some changes that you would like to see on the platform. So here again, we want to be really in collaboration with all the VET specialist task force. And at the end of this process, probably in a few months, we will have the final release of this tool where the 3 typologies of actors will be able to play on it and even test, and we can even adjust it afterwards. So that was for the real people source collaborative methodology. Now, the second aspect we just wanted to talk quickly is the choice of treating matching as the user experience pivotal point. So what does matching mean? Actually, it's just something that most of you probably already know. It's a methodology that is used mostly by dating apps and dating websites. And it allows, in fact, instead of going through a lot of information, it allows to push some recommendation directly corresponding to the data we collected from the user. So that means that we can, in this way, it's more intuitive, more easy to be able to find an information that is relevant to you, and you avoid wasting time being exposed to information that you don't feel concerned about. You have basically 2 ways to build this kind of platform. You have the search scenario, where you just propose a search bar, and then you give results that are supposed to be hierarchized with many filters, but we know that in terms of user experience, we can lose a lot of people because they don't necessarily always know what they're looking for. So that's why we decided to go more on the matching scenario, where we just collect very simple data on every user, depending on what typology is corresponding to, and we try to match those data that we collect from each typology to make sure that people who connect on the website have suggestions that are already very relevant, as they don't have to scroll down and to search through the website. And third main point that we want also to highlight regarding this tool, so of course it's more about design and creativity. We decided to work on a visual environment that was the most friendly and bringing warmth at maximum. So for example, we chose to use a typography called Poppins, which has 2 main benefits. The first one is that it's a particularly warm kind of design. It's human and friendly, and it helps us to overcome the institutional topic that can look sometimes a little bit cold, especially for VET users. Of course, also it's very well structured, so easy to read. And of course, people can use it very easily. The second aspect is, of course, the readability. As you can see, this typography is really readable, and you can use it either in titles than in text. So that's why also we picked this very easy and warm kind of typography to be as warm as possible. Second aspect of our design is to define the main colors of the website. So you can see here we have 4 main colors, the light gray that we use just to balance all the rest of the colors. The blue is a reference to Europe, of course, and it's here to remind the social media codes also, which imply exchanges and communication. In the world of digital, blue has this kind of symbolic. We used also the orange to bring a little bit more color and more dynamism to the overall color selection that we had. So here we use it to bring warmth to the white-gray-blue association. And then we used yellow, again, to a reference to the European flag, but also to highlight the main call to action buttons that will redirect you directly on the tool. So you will see the classical call to actions buttons are in blue, but the ones who direct you into the tool are in yellow. Finally, the choice of shapes. We wanted to use bubbles because we're, of course, trying to build a conversational tool. The idea for us is to really connect all the typologies of actors on the platform. So it's really a communication kind of tool, and the bubbles for us was a code that talks to every European. So that's why we thought it was interesting to treat that in the design. It's very present, you will see in the overall universe you'll find on the website. But also working on round shapes, in order to have something that is quite differential, and also to have what we call a proprietary visual environment. So that were the 3 main points that really animated the work we did in terms of creativity and digital on this particular tool. But I think I talked enough, and I think it could be maybe interesting for you to discover how it looks like. It's online since this morning, but we also captured a little video for you to discover a little bit how the platform looks like. So here you arrive on the home page. As you can see here, the bubbles are appearing, and you have this big call to action button in yellow, where you can subscribe very easily with a simple kind of form. Most of the choices, you can click on them, and otherwise it's fields that are very easy to fill. So Guillaume, Loiseau, myself, this is how you can already subscribe to the platform. And you can even invite, as a second step, all the colleagues that you want in order to make sure that the virality is maximized. When you did that, you already have some suggestions that are pushed to you with a percentage of accuracy corresponding to your data. Depending on the level of completion that you have on your profile, you'll get a better level of accuracy on the suggestions you receive. And you can always very quickly through the menu go back to the suggestions and say if you like them or not. This data, if you like it or not, we keep it in the system, so we know that next time you connect, of course, this kind of suggestion or anything that looks like it will not be proposed. At the end of it, you have potentially 2 favorite profiles that you like. So, for example, your Werkstatt cook, and here you have all the details about the data of this VET provider. Who's also asking, for example, here, the capacities of 15 VET learners. So it's interesting also to have the amount and to make sure we can manage the queue. And from the moment you match, you have a communication tool that opens where you can get in contact directly with each typology of VET provider, user, or companies and start the conversation. The idea of the tool is not to sign any contract in terms of VET. The idea is really to generate the communication, the contact between them, and to make sure that it starts a discussion that can end with the contract. But we don't have the ambition to finalize the contracts here. We know that all of that needs to go through a one-to-one discussion. Thank you for your attention, and I'm available if you have any question. Sorry. For the beta version, the main difference you have with the final version is the number of typologies you will have on the tool. So far, we worked only on the VET providers because we wanted to make a first testing phase with them and to make sure also we have everything they need. Because in this trilogy of typology that we have between the provider, the user, and the company, the one who is in charge of pushing for mobility today is mainly the mobility coach. So he has the biggest amount of knowledge about what we need to have on the tool. So this first testing phase is done with the VET providers, and the final version, of course, will open to profiles from VET users to companies to VET providers as well.
Great. Question mark. I think that I've seen the LinkedIn link in your presentation, or was this misleading? Are you using LinkedIn? Is there a link, and on what basis?
So yes, indeed, there will be always connections to the social networks, because in fact, on top of what we have already on the platform that pushes suggestions that are very, very accurate regarding your data, there is something additional, is that we want to provide content to help also students and companies to feel more comfortable about this overall environment. So far, as I was saying, the responsibility was really mainly on the mobility coach. And what we want is to do the pedagogy also of what mobility means for the 2 other typologies and push them to be more autonomous in the ways they use the tool. So that's why also we will use social media to push for some content and pedagogy on that. But also on the website, you will have a blog with specific article where you can really discover how everything works.
Yeah, I just have a question because you're informing us about this platform, and I just want to know how do you do this work also at the European level for the other partners to register to this platform as well, such as we will do it. So yeah, how you reach also the other training centers or companies in the other countries.
So this is the challenge, and that's why we are here today. Because we have some European friends here. We have some European friends that helped us to design the platform together with Leonard. I have our friend from Denmark that are there, and our friend from Finland that are following us, and our friend from Italy that helped us too. But the thing is that he will be the main mission of Europe Mobility in the next months, It's to promote the platform and to make the platform well known by other countries, not only France. Because we know other experience where we created a wonderful European platform where there was just Spanish people, if the leader was a Spanish organization, French people, if the leader was a French organization. So this is the great challenge for us, for Arab mobility. The thing is that we have, for the time being, a quite good network of European training center, thanks to the Europe project, to the pilot project. But for sure, we have to spread the words. But then from the technical point of view, and maybe we'll ask to Guillaume, I guess it will be not easy, but I mean, easier to spread the word. If you can add 2 words about this. Thank you.
Yes, completely. In fact, there are 2 mechanisms that will help us also bring some users on the platform. The first element is, of course, the way we worked on it and the way we're still working on it, which is very collaborative. So the idea is also with the actors we have already in the workshops to help them to promote the platform already to all the people they can talk to. But the main aspect that will really help us is the possibility for every typology of actor to invite his contacts and to push for as many contacts as he wants, the platform directly to them through email. And we believe that with this kind of recommendation coming from someone you know, of course, it will mechanically help us acquire a maximum amount of users.
Just to complete, our position at the real beginning, when we started to think about this platform, was to address 3 kinds of publics. Not only training center and young people, but also companies. Because we know that for the time being, there are mainly huge companies that deal with European mobility, okay? But we think that we have to make a wish from one side and make a bet too, and try to involve companies, small and medium companies too, in the platform. So we will see. Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much.